Welcome to BGV Talks. I'm your host, Shelly Bell. I'm super hyped today to be talking to Dawn Dickson, the founder of Popcom. And I want to get into this. I want to just jump right into it because I think you're amazing. I follow you on Twitter. And so I really have loved lately also just the conversation about what's happening with VCs in reaction to the George Floyd tragedy. But one of the things about BGV Talks is like, this is about you and the business of being you. And one of the things about like traditional, I guess, talk show like things is that we don't just get to learn about the person more as much as I sometimes want to. So tell me a little bit about you and like your journey. Did you like, when I want to grow up, I want to be an entrepreneur, or like, what are your thoughts? How did you get here?
Basically, yes. I've been an entrepreneur my entire career. I only worked for 8 months in a corporate job out of college, and then I quit and started my first company when I was 21. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur 20 years exactly now that I'm 41. I seen entrepreneurship around me. I didn't really know, my parents were entrepreneurs. I didn't really know where it would fit with me. It wasn't something that was promoted or encouraged, of course, when I was in college back then. And I didn't know where, I knew I didn't want to like be in a service business, or I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But when I went to school for tech in 2001, that's when I really started to understand technology and how I could apply my technology skills to innovate existing spaces, which is what I have definitely done with all my businesses to date. So I'm on my 5th company right now. And my first business was in 2001, and it was an online platform for young people like me at the time to find out what's going on in the city, clubs, bars, parties, festivals, events, restaurants. And it just really grew because there was nothing that existed that was like that. It really was just solving a need that I had. A friend and I just said, we're tired of trying to hunt down flyers to figure out what's going on. I mean, there was no social media at this time, certainly dates me, but no social media, no smartphones, no event websites like Eventbrite, et cetera. So we really just had to rely on like word of mouth, literally, and then physical pieces of paper. And once I got into that, and then I just became an online marketer by default, had a media outlet, and then I started doing the consulting to help other businesses. So it's just, my career has just continued to, things that I do then create more opportunities by me becoming a subject matter expert in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened. There's several companies, we'll get into them, but like literally all of my businesses, except for one, are still in business today. So
awesome. Did you sell them, or did you build teams out for them?
I still am the owner of, an owner partner in all of them. The one that's no longer in business, my partner didn't want to sell it. He didn't want to, we had acquisition offers. He didn't want to sell it. He was very attached to it, which is also something that I encourage entrepreneurs not to do, is get too attached to companies that you can't sell them when they're definitely hot. But he has goals of bringing it back to life again, but they're just still operating. I have a restaurant, I have the shoe company, I have Popcom, I have my consulting business, and I just acquired another business this week.
Awesome. This is why I never refer to business as your baby. And I tell entrepreneurs that all the time. Don't refer to business as your baby, because hopefully one day you sell your business and you don't sell your baby.
Exactly.
So it's like, exactly. Don't do that. You get too attached. As you on your journey though, what are some of the factors that cause you to lean into a certain business idea?
All of the businesses that I have started have been from direct needs that I experienced, things that I couldn't find a solution for. So that's why I lean in, because I knew that I experienced this problem. It's all about solving a problem and, having a solution, right? I experienced this problem, and then I would do my research to see, does anyone else have this problem? Because if only you or a handful of people that have this problem, it's not scalable. So it doesn't make sense. So everything that I do has to be scalable into the millions, potentially 100 millions, and with Popcom, I believe billions. So sure. Definitely want to, dig in and see, all right, I have this problem. Is it worth even pursuing? Will it be worth my time? And I believe I'm a good team builder. And so I go out and find other people that share the problem and the desire to create a solution, and they build the businesses with me. And that's why I still do have, 5 operating companies right now. I'm certainly only the CEO of Popcom and only running Popcom full time, but it's very possible to, be a problem solver. And if you can find people that can be an ally for you, it's really limitless possibilities.
Well, where does this mindset come from? Like, were you a athlete? Were you were you always involved in multiple things as a kid? Like, I know you mentioned seeing entrepreneurship around you. Did you have certain mentors or advisors, or did you fall in certain school groups, or that really created this? Because you have a special way of thinking, right? Like, whether sometimes we may not think about it that way, but like when you listen to, I'm listening to your thought process. I'm listening to your approach, right? Like, your approach is, I know I want to take this thing here, and in order to do that, is it solving a really real problem in the world? So like, where do you think some of that originated from?
Oh, that's a good question. I have always been, I would say, a person that is like defiant and goes against the status quo. And I love to be challenged and be told I can't do something. And I like to go against the grain. So that's why entrepreneurship was even attractive to me, because it's something that a lot of people weren't doing, especially when I was in my 20s. It wasn't a popular thing. There was no Shark Tank and all this stuff. And I mean, in school, going back to that question, I was class president, cheerleading captain, honor society. Like, I was always very engaged in a popular person, because I was very active and involved in things, friendly with people, outgoing, a lot of just, like I said, class president, people had to like vote for me, so I've had it in me, but I thought that was going to just send me into a leadership into corporate America. Like, as a young person, I thought that me being a leader as a young person, of course, involved in many leadership organizations as a young person, many youth groups. I was in entertainer, as a kid, or in a rap group, and Just Say No to Drugs. And, right.
Okay.
You said, listen, no bars, okay? 0 bars, but it was about like saying no to drugs. So performing, always very visible in the community, and just highly involved in many things, very, very involved in many things, which as an adult, it trickled down because I was a part of so many groups and networks and communities across the city that everybody knew me. And as an adult, many of those people support my businesses heavily, my restaurant and in my crowdfunding campaigns, and buying pairs of shoes from Flat Out. But I think we're born with this. I think entrepreneurs, people who think like this, the crazy ones, as Steve Jobs says, the crazy ones that are people that are crazy enough to believe they can change the world. I think we're born like that. And it's either encouraged or discouraged, right? Like, either someone is there, a mentor, a program or something to make you say, you know what, this is possible, or someone or something is there saying you can't do this and really breaking you down. And luckily, I've always had very supportive parents and family members. And then I did do a youth program from the time I was like 13 to then in college. I was one of the youth, the counselors. So I graduated and then went back. So it was like more around it's called self-esteem team, and, learning public speaking, spending time there in the summer instead of being out in the streets in the summer, just keeping me focused. Gave me my first job in the office, my mentor. So, and I've always had mentors. I have many mentors now. I've always had mentors my entire life. So everything you said contributed to this mindset. I think just seeing that it's possible, and having people tell me that you can do anything. My mom told me that all the time as a kid, you can do anything. And I think hearing that, as opposed to hearing the opposite of that, which unfortunately many of our youth do, I think that's what fueled me.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna take a pause because I need to plug my computer up, which I thought it was plugged up already. Boom. One of the things you're mentioning, which I'm really passionate about, is social capital. And so this social capital community, I believe that community building is a service. It's not something a nice to have. It's actually an essential part of being an entrepreneur. And so that takes us right into talking about the crowdfunding piece.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about PopCom first, just so our listeners and viewers will have understanding of what it is and how it works. And then I'm really curious as to why you chose to go this particular route of crowdfunding equity versus other ways that you could potentially have gone if you decided to.
Yeah, so PopCom is automated retail technology company. We develop software and hardware for self-service retail. The easy way to say it is like we make vending machines smart. We make kiosk and self-service machines smart using facial recognition, machine learning. We built an operating system to really bring vending machines and kiosks into like the 21st century e-commerce experience. They're very dated. If you use a vending machine to purchase anything other than like soda or snacks, you'll see they don't have the same functionality and features that, you can get from a website. And again, this came from a need of my own. I never thought I'd be in a vending business. That was not what I want to set out to be with my life. But I started my company Flat Out of Heels. They're rollable ballet flats for women when their feet hurt from wearing heels. I wanted to sell flat outs in vending machines in nightclubs, airports. So women, when their feet hurt, when they're doing stuff, dancing, partying, traveling, they could get some shoes in a vending machine. I couldn't find anybody to build the vending machines for me. So I had them built myself. And then once I had them built and put them in places like Atlanta Airport, Club Lib in Miami, then I realized I couldn't scale this business because I didn't have enough software to collect things like email address, social sharing, remarketing, retargeting, understand my customers better, calculate conversions. I went out looking for a software solution. Of course, I still did not think I had to build it. And I spent 2 years, trying to find a partner to help me make my vending machine smarter. Could not find it. And then I decided to start my own software company to solve my own problem, because as I'm looking for a solution to the problem, I've seen many people in the vending space and in the automated retail space with that problem. And so I knew I could do it. I knew I could solve that problem. So that's where it came from. Again, me meeting my own needs, things that I understood, not just arbitrarily picking a random business that looks good to do, but things that I actually had knowledge in. And that's important because, you have to do stuff that you're passionate about, or when the money runs out, which is often, then you'll want to quit. You have to really love it.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a show on Amazon Prime with it's got Janelle Monáe in it, and it's about, what is the name of it? And it's about
it's called dang, my husband watches it. Oh my God, you asked me too quick. The lady, it's about that drug.
Yes, and about how they're erasing people's memory. Homecoming. So there is a vending machine, and I don't know if this is you, so I wanted to ask you this. I was going to tweet you and ask you, but there's a vending machine, and in the vending machine, all of the packages say PopCom. And so I was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this her?
On the show?
On the show. Okay.
I have not seen that. I'm like, wait a minute.
If I could find it, because I don't even remember what episode. I was binge watching, and I saw them go get something out of the vending machine. All the packages said PopCom, and I was like, is this popcorn? I was like, wait,
popcorn?
I'm gonna go back and look at it, because I was like, I'm gonna tweet it.
Is that a trademark infringement? Homecoming?
Right. I'm like, did she plant that? Because that's genius marketing.
It would have been, right?
Right. So I'm gonna go back and look, and then I'll bring it back to you. For sure.
Put a note to myself too. I'm gonna find that out. What is that?
I love that. And I love that you're approaching your thought process, because you're not just thinking about creating the thing only. And I think this is what I wish more entrepreneurs would think about, in terms of like, yes, you can build a car, or you could actually just build software for the car, or you could build doorknobs, or you could build keyholes, or you could build windows or buttons, thinking about all the parts of what is necessary. And this is where people end up sitting in a space where there's no one else.
Right.
Because they're thinking, oh, wow, like we're going to be the number one, keyhole maker. While nobody else is thinking about the keyhole. They're like, oh, whatever. We're going to build it
Exactly.
because the keys are the point. It's like, no. Can't have keys without keyholes, right? So I love that.
I was thinking about vending, and when I went to raise money at first, people really were not at all receptive to it. I started the business in 2012. It's just in the past few years that it's become a thing. And so I was just way ahead of the curve, which I was with my first business as well. But I want to get to your question about raising money, because I want people to understand I've raised money in all the ways possible to raise money. I raised money from friends and family, from angels, from accelerator programs, from pitch competitions, from funding out of my pocket, bootstrapping, money that I earned myself, from taking out personal loans, from business credit cards, so I've raised it in all kinds of ways. And then crowdfunding. So in the beginning, I funded the business from angels that I knew, that I went to school with, friends, high net worth individuals in my network. Then I needed more money, of course, to grow. And I went through Techstars and another accelerator called Canopy Boulder in Boulder, Colorado. And then I raised my first money from them. And the first $1 million came from accredited angels and VCs. So I was like one of the first, I guess, 25, 30 Black women to do that $1 million raise. I did not want to go back that route because honestly, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't like the process. I mean, I wasn't one of those founders to go out and pitch to a whole bunch of investors. I pitched to about 30, and then I closed the round from that. I just really took time to research the investors to see who was even investing in my space. But I still felt like I didn't want to keep making the same people rich over and over. When you look at these deals, when they exit, the same VCs, the same LPs are funding companies. And when they exit, they're the ones getting richer and richer. And, the founder walk away with some money and the founding team, but how is that really creating wealth in the community? How? It's not. It's making a few people wealthy. And we hope, people like Rich of Essence will go, of Shea Moisture will go back and do things, but not many people do what Rich has done. And so where does that leave us? How can we really grow wealth in our community? And that's something I'm passionate about individually. So when I heard about crowdfunding years ago, back in 2013, about the Jobs Act during the Obama administration, when it was initially passed, to allow accredited and non-accredited investors to invest in, equity in companies, I was interested then, but it just wasn't fleshed out. It just wasn't. They didn't have platforms that could do it. They didn't have broker dealers. It just, people weren't ready. It was just not time. But I continued to follow that, and I followed it into, what became like the ICO boom. And then that became illegal. And then the STOs became legal. So I decided to do one of those. But really my driving force was not that I couldn't get money anywhere else. I can raise money. It was that I really was passionate about opening up my business to my friends and family, my community, people that believe in me, and giving Black people a chance to invest in private equity, which many of my 4,000 investors had never invested in anything before.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about crowdfunding equity in terms of like how that works and how people can get into it?
Yeah, I will say it's not easy. There's about maybe 6 or 7 dominant platforms out there. I work with Start Engine, but there's others. And it's essentially a public offering. Even though it's not on the NASDAQ or the New York Exchange, it's certainly a public offering of private equity, privately held equity in a company. And so the SEC is who you have to get to approve your offering. And it's a lot of paperwork, documentation, financial reviews, potentially audits. You need specialized attorneys and accountants that can file your paperwork. Right now, just because of COVID, there has been some new rules passed by the SEC to allow companies to raise up to $250,000 without a financial review, which is a blessing. So if anybody's interested in crowdfunding right now will be the time, because it took me 6-7 months to launch my campaign due to the very strenuous requirements of the SEC for approval. Now they're being a little bit more lenient to help companies get more access to capital during this time. But, I've been working on another funding round for now 11 months. It's just not easy. It's like going public. So you have to be in there. And you also have to have money to do it. It's not free. The platform fees, it costs a list on the platform. It costs for attorneys and accountants. So it does cost. Then you also open yourself up to reporting requirements like a public company. So, those are things to factor in as well. All of those things said, I don't want to discourage people, but I want people to be realistic about what's required, and that you do have to go through the same process as far as due diligence as you do when you're raising money from anywhere, VC or whatever. So you need your due diligence data room to be thorough, all your documents to be thorough. You need to be very detailed with your financials, the past and, future projections and plans, documentation with your team members, documentation with your customers. Because if the SEC is going to let people raise money from the public, they feel like their job is to protect the public. They feel like the public doesn't know how to make educated decisions, and they don't want them to get scammed, which is reasonable. So they put us through the ringer, So there's now more Black founders I see even today. Angela Benton launching her campaign for Streamlytics, and as of a few minutes ago, it was at 70,000 in 24 hours, which is amazing to see. There's more people doing it, and we have to keep doing it, because as we continue to do it, that makes the process simpler and the barrier to entry removed because of knowledge. There's a huge knowledge gap when I did it. I'm the first female founder of any race to raise over $1 million in a crowdfunding campaign. Then I raised another $1 million this year, which has not been done either. I don't want to be, like I said on my other interviews, I don't want to be the first and only. I want more people to do it. I want this to be a solid alternative for the many communities outside of New York, Silicon Valley, and other big cities where there's capital, for us to raise money for our business no matter where we are located geographically.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Let's talk about the crowdfunding process a little bit, because I think I would ask, how is it different from, in terms of the process itself, not necessarily the SEC rules or establishment, but the process of getting the people to actually give. So could you talk a little bit about the difference between that and the VC hunt down? That's what I call it.
Yeah.
And then just what kind of things should you prepare? Because a lot of times it starts before you launch the campaign.
Way before.
Yeah, the launching of the campaign is now making people aware that opportunities available to do it. But before then, you're doing a lot of groundwork. So could you talk through some of the groundwork behind crowdfunding?
Definitely due diligence, which is the same exact thing you have to do for VC. Definitely starting to build up, yourself and your company as a subject matter expert, getting articles out there, starting to just have information about what you're doing online, and people will Google you and people will look you up, and you can't just come out of nowhere. So really writing things, interviews, Medium, blogs, LinkedIn, Twitter, very active on social media. These are things that I've been doing for years already. So just having a presence for yourself and your company online, to position yourself to be credible. You have to show credibility. I never can understand how entrepreneurs will say they're doing something and then their LinkedIn is empty. Your LinkedIn is critical. So having your LinkedIn really populated, having your Twitter and all social pages active, YouTube, everything. You being everywhere people go, you need to be there. So that starts well in advance. Definitely starting to prepare the content for the campaign, your milestones, and just, what you're going to do with the money. That's important to be able to talk about that and address that. People are going to be asking a lot of questions, a lot of education around the investment process for the actual investors. So as opposed to VC, where they're considered to be sophisticated investors, institutional investors, they're expected to understand deals and be able to complete their own due diligence and have their own questions. The general public, like I said, many people never invested in anything. They're just not as knowledgeable. I'm not speaking for every single person, but in general, they're not as knowledgeable about investment, especially when you're talking about private equity, because typically people associate investment with the stock market, where they're like, where can I watch it? Or how can I get a return? Or how can I cash out? And it's not that. Private equity is not traded. It's not, you don't go sell it. You hold it until a liquidity event happens with that company. And so constantly educating people on what it means. It's a new type of investment to most people. So constant education daily, before I started writing my blog, before I did it, and talking about it before, and then during, every day there was a question. But you know, what you really just need to have is like your marketing tool chest. And it also differences like a general solicitation, which is like being able to openly talk about your round in the media, on social media. When you have a private round with the VC, you can't just go post about it, the terms on Twitter, Instagram, or online. But a general solicitation, you can. You can also do advertisements on Facebook and Instagram. You can place ads. So that's what I took advantage of. And we used advertising as a strategy, and it did very, very well for us. Over, I would say about $700,000-$800,000 were generated from Facebook ads. So of course, the strategy around advertisement as well. Having the people in place that can manage the ads, that can manage your social media. I even had hired a ghostwriter for my first campaign because I had to do so much content. I couldn't do it all myself and run my business. It is a full-time job. Raising money is a full-time job, whether you do it crowdfunding or whether you do it through VC. It's very time consuming, and you know, it's a lot of interactions and a lot of touch points. So you just have to be kind of built for it. It's like, you know, and then it's smaller checks. So like with the VC life, you're trying to go out and get $100,000 plus check. You know, start with crowdfunding, you're trying to get $100, $250 from a person. And the person trying to give you $250 will act like they're giving you $2.5 million.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
what is
chill?
Even, let me tell you something. That is across the board with sponsorships. Even when, so prior to this, I had prior to running Black Revenge, I had a t-shirt company. Same thing. Somebody who wants 2 shirts is calling me every day. Somebody who wants 10,000, I don't hear from them. I'm like, what in the world is going on? I think so. And I want to make sure that with the viewers that we're clear that we're talking about crowdfunding equity versus just general crowdfunding, which is where you have different kinds of perks that you might give out.
You buy a product in advance and get that product.
Yeah. So what I'm always curious about is with crowdfunding equity, how does it show up on your balance sheet? So is this does the platform have a hold on a certain amount of equity in the company, and then everybody's poured into that block of equity? And then
it's like a syndicate on the cap table. So on the balance sheet, of course,
cap table. You're right.
Yeah. On the cap table, it's like a syndicate. It's one line item. That's
okay.
It. So I have 2 big $1 million syndicates on my cap table.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because I'm always curious about how that shows up, or how the platform itself monitors they'll do all the.
They manage everything. They handle the correspondence, communication, issuing of the stock certificates. You know, which people really love. They really love to see that. But yeah, they manage everything for us.
Okay, awesome. And so, what do you feel like? I mean, I know, like, this is how do you feel? Do you feel, so you had a lot of success in your life, period. You've been the first 2 or the batch of the first for a few different things. You know, when you take a step back and just like, you know what, I freaking did that. You know, like what, like, how do you feel? Like, people ask me this all the time, by the way, and I never have a really great answer. So I'm throwing it to other people.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel grateful, you know, definitely. I am, you know, it's definitely my purpose. I'm walking in my purpose. I know my purpose is aligned with empowering my community and you know, creating wealth in my community. And I'm just really like a vessel, you know, so I'm definitely grateful to, you know, Prime Creator for like putting me in the position that I have been put in, and all of my steps have been guided through for many years. And even though I've had many challenges and many setbacks, it's felt good all along. So, but I also know like there's a lot more work to be done, and I have a responsibility. I feel responsible. I feel responsible for 4,000 people that invested in my business that I want to see them get their money back plus. You know, I feel responsible for all these people that are on my teams, that they feed their family, especially during COVID. And I'm like, man, like, I just want to make sure these people's mortgages are paid and rent's paid. They're responsible to the community of entrepreneurs that I'm, you know, a part of as a peer, to open doors, to share information, to, you know, not have that mentality of like, I want all the shine. I don't want the shine. I would love to be like the quiet person that nobody, I will go into the shadows and live my life. You know, it's just, I want there to be so many people that are successful. Like they forget about Dawn Dickson because there's so many. You know, I don't do anything for recognition, but while I have a platform, I want to use it to empower my people. I'm super black, like blackety black, like, and I want to, I was raised that way. My mom was like a, you know, Black Panther participant. She lived in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. She was a Black Panther. She couldn't get to Oakland. She was doing her work in Columbus, Ohio. But I was raised that way with a lot of pride around my community and where I come from. And so I feel that my part of all of the things that are going on today with the protests, and my part is economic empowerment. And so I take it very seriously. And that's how I feel. It's like more work to be done. Like I will feel good. Like I'll feel great, amazing. I feel accomplished when I exit and all these people get a check. That's when I feel like I've done something.
Awesome. That's awesome. What you mentioned having many setbacks, but you don't seem like you've had any setbacks. What kind of setbacks have you had in terms of like, you don't necessarily have to go deep into them, but when you think about setbacks that you had, setback to be set up, like what are some of those?
I mean, I call them lessons that are losses. So the L's are lessons, you know, but run out of money multiple times for all the businesses and had to get more capital. Bad team members, shady people trying to steal my intellectual property, trying to steal my ideas, trying to steal my company in general. Shady, litigious lawsuits that have just people just don't want to see you win. You know, slander, people saying lies about me that aren't true. You know, there was a rumor out there that I'm running a Ponzi scheme. Like, are you fucking serious? So then my vending machine was actually stolen by one of the manufacturing partners in 2018. And it was a machine that we had built for Procter and Gamble, so I couldn't deliver Procter and Gamble their machine. That was horrible. We were, you know, launching at Essence Festival 2018. We had a booth with Walmart to launch our machine, and they stole the machine, so I couldn't do that. Devastating things, not just like regular stuff. But I still I've never cried about business. I just feel like I know I'm walking in my purpose and my steps are guided. I know that setbacks are a part of this. I've read and studied entrepreneurs, and I know that everyone, white, black, whoever, they have issues. You know, our problems are different. We got different problems, but it's still everyone, no journey is just like, oh yes, and I started it and then it went to the top. Like if you say that, that's a lie, you know? And so I don't let it get to me. I just keep going. And it does help that so many people, you know, support me and are always sending me words of encouragement, whether it's like total strangers online or like family members, team members, and most importantly, like people that say, listen, I want what you're building and I'll wait for it to be ready. And that's why I kept doing PopCon. We ran out of money 3 times, but I still had customers. So it's like, I'm not going to give up on this if there's money to be made. So, I mean, there's always some type of setback all the time. I could say once a month something happens that I'm not happy about. Mm-hmm. But it's just, it's a part of the journey. You know, it's a part of the journey.
100%. What do you do when you run out of money?
Do free stuff, like go to the beach, chill, eat at people's house. Like, no, seriously, when the business run out of money, it's always a plan to raise more money. It just doesn't happen always fast enough, you know, especially with crowdfunding. Like I said, it took 7 months to get our round approved. So we were burning every month waiting to get approved to raise, and the burn ran out and we still weren't approved to raise. So I just told the team, and they knew, like, I'm always honest and open with my investors and my team members. And I'm like, okay, 2 months of runway, 1 month of runway, 0 months of runway. But they knew all along what was going on. So I'm like, hey, you know, pull out them side hustles, because, you know, we got 3 months of runway and I don't know what's going to happen. We're not approved yet. So I just want to make sure you guys can still sustain yourself. So everybody made it through. My team, nobody quit. We stayed. And then we raised the money after that. So it never was like running out of money with no plan. It just was like the overlap, you know, it just didn't come in time. And I've learned nothing happens in my time. I don't even attempt, you know, I set goals and things and plans, but like, I don't even expect things to happen in my time. I'm just like, okay, it'll happen. So we run out of money, we just keep going. And me, I ran out of money because I used all of my money to fund my business in 2018, all my credit cards, all my personal savings. And literally, like I said, I would do free stuff, like go to the beach, be still, you know, chill, meditate. I mean, my friends kept me fed in Ubers. So, you know.
I appreciate that. And I ask that because a lot of entrepreneurs out there, when they run out of money or get like close to running out of money, they don't always have the resilience or don't know where to find it or don't, you know. I think it's interesting to have this like unwavering belief in what you're doing. Like that's a skill that you grow over time because you have a conscious mind around the market and you can see the customers and you can and your level of faith. So like,
it's also because I've been an entrepreneur so long and so many things have happened that I'll know that it's always going to work out. Like I know that I've been here before. So after running out of money, like the first time I ever ran out of money in my very first business, it was devastating. But then when I bounced back, then every time you take a setback, it's like a football player, right? You take a hit. That first hit they ever took in their life knocked the wind out of them.
Right.
But then you just get used to taking hits and it's like, you know, and that's how I feel right now. If 20 years in, it's like, there's nothing that can be done to me that hasn't been done to me. So, and I know I'm a recover. I've recovered every other time. And that's just it. I just know I'm going to recover. I have no choice but to recover. So
that's right. Is it? Yeah. What are we gonna do? Go back to work? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and recover.
Like, for who?
Recover.
Yes, I appreciate that. What is there anything that you want entrepreneurs to know? Anything upcoming that you want to announce? Is the round still open? Can people still go and invest? Tell us a little bit about what's next for you.
Well, the round is still open. We're accepting people on the wait list because we maxed out our limit, but we're still taking people and they will get in. I can't say any more details, but they will get in. So we'll raise the money, but most importantly, we're generating revenue now. We just made a big acquisition. We haven't announced it yet, so I can't say the details, but we acquired another company. I'm excited about that. And then just getting the product out. You know, we have customers. We have some big customers in the alcohol and cannabis space. And I'm ready to just like take my vision that I've had for so many years and actually bring it to life. That's what we're doing. They can go to startengine.com/popcom to learn about the business. I mean, today I also wrote about and posted on Medium and all over social 9 companies you can invest in right now. So I'm a huge advocate for just the community. It's, like I said, I want to see everybody raising millions of dollars. So go check that out. There's some really great companies. Black founders, generating revenue, raising money. So please just like, maybe Popcom isn't for you. That's okay. I don't take it personal. But find something that is for you, that you like, that you resonate with, and just like invest in that. And then my advice to say to entrepreneurs is just like, don't give up. You know, trust yourself. If people will see other people doing what they want to do and get discouraged, but it's like, you have to know that no one can do it like you. This idea was given to you for a reason. That's because only you can do it the way you want to do it. It doesn't matter how many people do it. I always bring up the fact that how many types of tissue and cola, and I mean, there's so many types of the same exact product that are all making millions of dollars. So there's room for us all. Just know that like you are the one to do your idea. It does not matter who else is trying to do it. Nobody can steal your idea. It's impossible to steal your idea because it's yours, and you are the one that can execute it the right way. So don't be scared and always trying to have somebody sign NDAs. Nobody's going to steal it from you. Get your IP locked in, your trademarks and things like that. But, you know, widely share your idea because nobody can steal it. It is uniquely yours. That's right. What I'd say.
100%. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your energy and your thought process and just like who you are as a person. And that's one of the reasons why I launched this is to just get to know people as people, and to hear from them on how their journey is going, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Long.
joining us at BGV Talks. Have a
Thanks.
great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.